I want to make this like a quick room. I don't want to be like too crazy. I don't want to be too crazy, especially because I got a bunch of things I need to what you call it. Um, I wanted to do this real quick because I just saw this fucking Jason McIntyre thing that he posted up about fake quotes in like the NBA world, which I I, I just don't understand what the fuck this nigga's talking about. Jesus. Um, and I've been actually wanting to do this video, and I might still do it on my second channel because it's still, I don't know why, it's pressing to me. It's very very relevant. So and I've only done like one Twitter space in like a long time. So what's my man name? Draymond. Draymond over like maybe like a week or two ago when he was going on when he was ranting about the NBA media and media members, not doing their due diligence, being being inadequate at their job, and trying to differentiate the new media versus old media type shit. When he was doing that, it was so interesting to me how so many media members got like in their feelings about things that they talk about that they know to be just fucking wrong. Like it was so interesting to me. And even though I don't agree with him calling Kendrick Perkins a coon, because I don't think Kendrick Perkins is a coon. I think he does tap dance on TV from time to time, but I wouldn't consider him a coon. It it's so interesting to me how like his message is being completely missed by so many media members because once more they're twisting the narrative or they're trying to change or adjust what he is trying to say, when in short all what that man is saying is for media members to be responsible and accountable for the words that they're saying, especially when you're trying to articulate you're trying to articulate a story about another man's legacy, where you have somebody who has worked on their craft for years and years and decades at a time, just for the perception of who they are as an individual to be drastically changed because of what somebody may write or what somebody may say on TV. Like that's like you have to be responsible with what you say, especially when it's not true or it's not really based in much of anything. And I was gonna just let it sit for a second, but then just Jason McIntyre, this fucking bozo here, this nigga, yeah, Jason McIntyre, this bozo is complaining about ball sack sports and how there's platforms or there's social media pages talking about fake quotes and like how do you get what's wrong with fake quotes, da 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 da. And to a degree I understand what he's saying, but at the end of the day, if you are a reporter, or if you're an analyst, or if you are somebody in the media, especially someone older, you probably went to school for this, so you should understand the legitimacy of crediting your sources or going to go look at where exactly this was said to double check your sources. That is like fucking journalism 101. How you do not do that is crazy. And then for you to then blame the bad source and claiming that that's the problem is crazier when again that's your job. It is your job. That's a part of your job to double check what people are saying so you can make sure what you're saying is correct. But let's be clear, and the reason why that's a part of your job is because this has always existed. People making up stories and fabricating things, or you having to double check what somebody says, it's always been a thing. This is not like a new phenomenon. It's always been there. That's the reason why it's always been a standard for journalists or reporters or analysts to cite their sources. That's always been there. Somehow, some way, though, we've made it a custom and normalized these niggas to be lazy. I say that because, especially somebody who tries to build a credible platform. I know niggas think that I be trolling a lot, but for someone who tries to build a credible platform, I hear when people hold me to the standard, and even as sometimes it can be annoying, but I understand the validity and why it's necessary. I understand why, but it's so odd to me how so many people can get on television, call themselves analysts and journalists, and not actually go through the fucking due diligence of what their job description has for them. So no, Jason McIntyre, fake stories have always existed. They will continue to exist. That's the reason why we expect you to do your fucking job. Stop being lazy and do the job. FYI, like I said before, it's always existed. If everybody believes, if you really believe every story that has been broken about an NBA player throughout league history has been a true story, if you don't think that they're lying, telling you which teams are interested in this player or which teams are interested in Kyrie Irving, like if you think all that shit is true, I'm sorry to tell you, sorry to break the news to you right now, it's not true. People lie or they use certain media members to lie for them just so they can continue to uphold some type of leverage in negotiations. So this idea that, oh man, the people on the internet, they need to stop lying, but you know for a fact that there's people who lie to you routinely so they can uphold leverage in trade talks. It's crazy because at that point you're now claiming that you're holding people on the internet, some random people on the internet, to a higher standard than people who are actually supposed to be journalists and reporters and analysts. That's crazy. That is insane. What makes it worse is that when you hear these people talk about the game, bro, they are also actively lying. Like I'm doing a video right now breaking down shit where Nick Wright is just on television lying about things that just are not true. So then when this nigga Nick Wright earlier today, and I don't even like Ball Don't Stop, but when Nick Wright is on on Twitter earlier today trying to check Ball Don't Stop. Hey, I love it when they da 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 about Michael Jordan because he never played in the game seven. Like you, as much as I don't like Ball Don't Stop, when I saw the tweet that he put out, I knew that he wasn't speaking about him never playing in the game seven. Speaking of Michael Jordan, I could put two to two together and understand he was referring to him never playing a game seven in the NBA Finals. We can do that. But for you to be that anal about somebody on Twitter and you get on national television and lie routinely is crazy. That's crazy. You have an actual platform where you are being televised and should be held to some standard. And instead of checking yourself or some of your co hosts when they blatantly lie about shit, you go on Twitter to check niggas. That's weird, nigga. That's weird. In what world do we live in where a professional deems it necessary to check a non-professional, especially on something that's so trivial as in somebody mistaking or having a misstep or maybe even just running out of characters on Twitter versus you having a whole fucking TV show with segments where you're making claims about certain things and you're referencing fake reports. You don't do your due diligence then, but you want to make sure niggas on Twitter do it. Which also brings me to another point. Why I don't understand why some of you all, because the amount of times I hear niggas sit here and tell me, well, how can he be wrong? He has to be on TV for some reason. I hope that y'all can thoroughly understand routinely, bro. These people are not as special as y'all think they are, bro. These people have been proven time and time again to get their fucking references and their sources off of the same timeline that me and you were on. It's the same fucking information. Skip Bayless is not breaking anything new. That nigga's he hasn't broken anything in decades. He's not in locker rooms talking to people. He's getting the same information that you are getting on the timeline, which is the reason why when he stumbles across a fake quote or a ball sack quote, he sits there and tries to make it seem like it's real because he's also reading the same thing that you're reading. And he's not doing his due diligence to check behind himself. But these people are not breaking anything at all. And as time has progressed, they've continued to expose themselves. Kendrick Perkins straight up said, hey, we come in a meeting, they give us some topics, we have different opinions and views and countering on them. They even may tell us, hey man, we already have a topic. Do you want to argue this side of the argument? Like, do you want to be on this side of the argument? Like, niggas basically fishing him arguments. They're fishing them analytics and stats to continue to push their own arguments instead of actually doing the due diligence themselves to look into the numbers or look into the facts or watch the games in totality. Like Colin Cowherd calling Donovan Mitchell a defender. Like, nigga, what are we like? What have you been watching? He's not in college. Like, that's not a trait that Donovan Mitchell hasn't. He should not be have been labeled a defender since he was in college. Fine player. Like, I had no problem with D Mitch, but give an accurate depiction of who he is as a player. You saying things that aren't true, or you not able to pronounce, or you don't know who Bam Adebayo is. Like, nigga, this is your job. Which is one thing I will say about Draymond. Yo, Draymond, I don't know, nigga, I don't know. But, bro, unfortunately, the people that you are trying to hold to a high standard shouldn't be held to that standard because they're not real analysts. They're not journalists. They're not reporters. Them niggas are entertainers. They're entertainers. That's what they are. They are entertainers. They get paid to entertain. If they got paid to be proper journalists or analysts, a nigga reading off a ball sack, a nigga reading off a ball sack Twitter, a fucking ball sack tweet, a nigga referencing a ball sack tweet should be in a line with him being fired if he was an actual reporter. If he was an actual reporter reading off of a source that is not credited, would have that nigga fired. You can't just run around doing shit like that. They're not analysts, they're not reporters. Bro, these niggas are entertainers. That's what they are. So to Draymond, I would tell him that, man. Look, you holding entertainers to standards. They're not actual real reporters. They're not actual analysts. These niggas are just to entertain. And then what I would say to the entertainers is that when you go around fronting and acting like you're an analyst or fronting and acting like you're actually standing on some form of credibility, you can't then complain about how people call you out or have a got you moment on it. Like Kendrick Perkins having no actual reasoning why he thought the Boston Celtics were going to win, which is fine. If you thought Boston was going to win the final, that's fine. But having no actual reasoning to why he thought they were going to win outside of the fact that he once put on a Boston Celtics jersey, and that's the team that he has the most affinity towards. But him not having an actual reasoning and then going out of his way to dress up as a prisoner to try to expound on the concept that the Celtics are gonna lock up the fucking lock up the Warriors, even though Curry was literally in the midst of having one of the greatest scoring performances that we've seen in the finals in quite some time. Even though that was happening, that's what you decided to do. So if Draymond wants to come around and call you an idiot for 9 days straight, I'm sorry, dog. Like that's what comes with it. You decided to entertain and tap dance and pick certain takes that your fucking media company gave you. That's what you decided to do. And in return, people are going to laugh at you and also critique you. But it's so odd that they can sit there on TV, criticize players day in and day out, but as soon as somebody starts critiquing them or as soon as somebody holds them accountable, it's a problem. So to Jason McIntyre, no, I'm not going to sit here and hold Twitter users to a higher standard than I'm supposed to be holding to somebody who claims that he's a journalist, that he's an analyst, or he's a reporter. I'm not going to do that. That's part of why you get paid. If you really believe that's what you are. If not, if you think that you're an entertainer, which I believe you to be the case, but you're masquerading as something else. But if you really believe you're just an entertainer, then fair enough. But if you keep coming on television, on radio, on wherever else you're at, and you are lying about you're lying about who you are and what you do, no. No, 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 no. No. No, no, no. You cannot I'm just not going to sit here and sit here and have you like try to tell people how they're supposed to troll when it's your job. It is literally your job to understand what's true and what's not true. And what's crazy is all anybody would have to do is just read at the bottom of the just read at it. Just read. Like nigga, everything is way too accessible for niggas to be sitting here complaining about. Like nigga, what are you talking about right now, nigga? What are you talking about? I really didn't want to make this long because I'm basically done ranting. I'm gonna make this nigga a co-host. What the fuck? Yo,
Yo.
y'all niggas are gonna be up here for no more than 5 minutes.
Jesus.
Y'all better say y'all better say what y'all want to say because I'm about to fucking end it in
What's
five
up?
minutes.
What's up? What's
Hey,
up?
hey, Lo, the
They need to
crazy
stop
part
being
is,
bitches, bro. For real.
But people like consuming that type of media
hey,
though. Like
Lo, the
that's
crazy part is like I'm a junior, I'm a journalism major in college, and the crazy part is that's quite literally the first thing they teach us in school as a freshman.
Crazy. Crazy.
You know what this just shows? Because also like I'm not I haven't been in like a journalism class or whatever, but from what I heard is this they like it's better to be right than first. They just want to be first.
Yeah.
Like I never
I don't
understood.
even know if they want to be first.
They want to get the clicks, man.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
want to get the
that's the main
engagement.
Yeah,
thing.
but usually if you're first, like you get the most clicks because like you're like the first guy to like release everything. But even then, it's like it like as Lo said, like it just takes one like look to realize, oh shit, that's not a verification. That's a Twitter fucking emoji, or that's the 7 ball emoji. That's not a
Bro, it's
verification.
And I
literally
think
called
so.
ball sack sports.
No,
Like,
well,
what the fuck?
here's the thing about that. That is what happens with a 24-hour news cycle within sports that has had a greater pressure placed on it by the advent of the internet and people making their name talking about sports on the internet. The pressure of these people getting this rise through of getting their NBA content through non-traditional television means has put pressure on these television sources to get the clicks moving.
Yo, Lo,
And
cool, bro, saying beam you. My bad, Kareem.
no problem. And so like the way for them to keep their place at the quote unquote top of NBA discourse when it comes to the broadest scale is to get that engagement. How do you get that engagement? You're Nick or you're Stephen A. Smith and you come on ESPN and you're like, I would take Anthony Davis over Jokic. I would take him over Luka. I would take him over Jimmy and Jason Tatum. Oh, because he's a two-way player when healthy, when all of that's. Oh my God, that's what needs to happen.
I think that's what people find entertaining though.
I was going to say
they don't want to. Yeah, they don't want to go and like.
Go ahead.
No, you can go ahead. You can go ahead.
What's even crazier about that is, I mean, like, even though what Lo said was right, to an extent, we all kind of do expect, like, Stephen A. and niggas like them to just, I wouldn't even say troll, but just to say crazy shit, just because it's got them to where they are, and that's fair. But for me personally, I expect more out of former players than I do, like, original media members. Like, for Kendrick Perkins to get on the internet and do some of the shit he does, and then gets mad when the backlash comes, is personally crazy to me. Because I expect more from a player than I do from a regular media member, because y'all lived through it and y'all played through it. So I don't know. It's just the way I feel about it.
And then here's the thing, to turn it around, it's why voices like JJ Redick are so refreshing in this modern TV era, because he brings the facts, he brings the non-NBA hot take sort of mentality to television, and he also does it by bringing in numbers. It's very evident that the people on ESPN, First Take, all those shows, they want him back on a week-to-week basis because that's the breath of fresh air that he brings. The fact that it took this long to get that face, it just shows where the TV sports coverage mentality is, I'd say.
And this only happens in the basketball community. Like, you would never see shit like this in like NFL.
No.
They do the same. They do the same bullshit in football, bro.
And honestly, it may be
just
as bad. It may be just as bad in the NFL, if I'm being completely honest with you.
NFL, like what is it? Quote unquote analysts and stuff, they get like tricked more than like NBA ones. I'll admit, bro. Like when Barry McCockner was like on his run, bro, he was getting everybody.
Oh, speaking of Barry, so Barry, remember that one time where Skip Bayless got tricked by James Harden man boobs article? Yes. That was Barry, bro. That was Barry.
Which is crazy because again, all it took was like, bro, it sounded so crazy, and it's also because even if I were to, like, let's say hypothetically speaking, I'm trying to give certain people the benefit of the doubt that, hey, maybe, you know, they're busy, they don't have the time to do da 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 da. Let's say hypothetically speaking, I am doing that. There still should be a division within the company that can verify shit.
They just suck. Yeah,
I mean, this is a multi-million
I just
company.
think they don't care. They don't care, to be quite frank. Do you think Draymond's a little bit of a hypocrite though? That like he works for Colin Cowherd and he's like one of the main like quote unquote people.
I've said that before because I don't know why Draymond just doesn't do his own podcast. I mean,
exactly. I mean, because Colin Cowherd's like the king of just giving bad takes and just saying anything. Like
facts.
Anything, dude.
I know this might be like a stretch for this to happen, but what if he's just using Colin as like a launch? And then, like after he's like,
maybe
potentially because
it
is the volume. It is the volume, not Colin Cowherd's show.
That's what I said.
But the volume is Colin Cowherd's network.
Yeah, sure. I understand. But like there are different entities. I get what you mean, though. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, also, I think Draymond's probably locked in with the volume for so many episodes, and then I think when that part of his contract is over with, I think he'll just pivot to doing it himself.
It's kind of like the JJ Redick podcast. Originally, it was done through The Ringer, which is, I think, a company invented by Bill Simmons, and eventually he came to the table with Bill Simmons, and there were like a bunch of bust-ups within contract negotiations. He became independent after that, so that could very well be what could happen to Draymond. I would love for that to happen.
So let me ask you a question. Do y'all even the bigger reporters like Stephen A., do you still think he is guilty of this too, to an extent? Like, because I feel like he might know a lot more.
Yes, Stephen A. is one of the biggest,
and that's fair. But what I'm saying is, I think he might know a lot more than the average reporter. I just don't. My point is, I don't understand why he would do it, especially considering the fact that he's bigger than money space on TV.
Yeah, it is for the money, and I do want to say this. When somebody said that's just what they consume, I don't know. I'm slowly starting to disagree because outside of First Take and and Undisputed, which is basically being carried by fucking Stephen A. and Skip Bayless. No knock to Shannon and Max and all the other people who've been involved over the past XYZ amount of years. Every other show has like been dropping in viewership, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but I'm almost 100% sure that a lot of
them are just objectively terrible. Like Around the Horn, I watched that today for the first time in like 5 years, and I remembered why I stopped watching it.
No, yeah, it's bad. Like all the other ESPN shows are just pretty bad.
Tough. But yeah, I just because I am about to get off. I just wanted to say that real quick, just a quick fucking space. To the professionals, stop fucking complaining about niggas holding you to a standard. You want to be viewed as professional analysts and reporters. Like, get over it, dog. Like that's your job. That's what you're supposed to do. Just be better at your job, and that's it. And I sincerely believe, as time continues to progress and people become more familiar with unorthodox or non-traditional ways to like consume media, that people like that just will not exist anymore. Because once more, and I could be wrong, but if I am not mistaken, viewership across the board has plateaued or dipped significantly outside of First Take and Undisputed. And really, First Take was on a crazy decline over the past like 3 or 4 years. Like they just started to like bounce back to where they once were in 2017, which was around the same time. What's his name left?
Who do you think that's a credit to? Like in the grand scheme of things,
I think you can credit to like niggas just overall niggas just not watching TV like that no more. Cause like I feel like when we do talk about like ratings and things like that, like we do forget that like people overall just not really watching TV like that. Folks not sitting in front of their TV waiting and watching folks talk about basketball and shit like that. So like the shit they gotta rely on is like the YouTube shit and like the internet shit. So like when it comes to ratings, like niggas not really prioritizing that. They just focusing on some shit that'll like get a motherfucker to click on it or get a motherfucker to like talk about it to like build up discourse to build up more traction. Like I feel like a lot of these like ESPN and shit and the NBA, like they really focus on like web traffic like more than ratings because they seeing that shit declining and it's not really no way that you can get like the grand like community of the country to get invested back in the TV and want to sit down in front of their TVs again.
I credit it to everybody in here. I credit it to everybody who's part of the community that is going out of their way seeking different forms of content and consuming media differently. I've said this I've said this routinely with like the music industry. If you, I mean, some of y'all might not be old enough, and I'm about to fucking date myself, but back when I was growing up, the reason why people like Kendrick, Cole, Drake, Wale, Meek, all of them, part of the reason why they blew up the way they did is because there was a massive wave of like support of consuming music in a different way. Like everybody wasn't just sitting at the radio listening to the same fucking 20 songs over and over and over again. People were just going out of the way to consume music differently. And obviously they were great at what they did, which is why it is expounded to a 10 plus year decade. I mean, a 10 plus year career. But more importantly, I mean, it still took a level of support that was necessary for them to kind of catapult them to where they are now, to where the standard of music, especially with rap music, it just altered significantly. So I still, of course, the talent needs to be there, but I attribute it to the consumers. And I agree. I mean, as long as people keep watching that shit, then that's what they're going to get. So, I mean, in some capacities, as a consumer, we have to hold ourselves accountable. But as time progresses, especially from what I've just seen this year, shout out to Thinking Basketball. His channel was fucking doing crazy numbers this year. Shout out to JJ Redick and Draymond. Their platforms did really great numbers this year. I just think as time continue. I mean, shout out to, I say all the time. Shout out to Double D. He did great this year with his numbers. What's the guy's name who does like a lot of timelines? He does a lot of fucking. He does great work with a lot of like timelines and documentaries for the NBA. about like kind of. Let me get this nigga's name before I fucking go because he's done an amazing job as well. Like there's just great people who bounced out this season. Dylan does basketball. He does a sensational job.
Love that man. Yeah.
Yeah, he does a great job.
Great videos.
Yeah, he does a great job properly chronicalizing and giving you just straight up facts and information about what actually occurred, so you don't have to get like a diluted information from fucking Skip Bayless or Stephen A. Smith or somebody else in the media giving you perspectives in which contradict their perspective that they just gave you fucking 2 weeks ago. Like Kendrick Perkins changing his viewpoint on that there was like a post where it was Lonzo Ball is a bust. Fucking 2 weeks later, Lonzo Ball, what a great player. He's going to be a star. 2 weeks after that, Lonzo Ball's so disappointing. It's like nigga, like you're changing your stance on this nigga every 6 weeks. Like there's no way you're doing that. It's because they're more than likely feeding you a stance to be on, so we can just have an argument for the sake of arguing. And you get on TV, make the argument, and then you want to be upset when Draymond basically says that's old media shit. We gonna hold people accountable. Like, come on, like, what are you saying, bro?
Yeah, that's why when Draymond and that last podcast he did when they won the championship, he told Kendrick Perkins like, stand on your word, brother, because he said he came in a jail suit and then he gonna leave the game early. That's why he was really like throwing shots at Kendrick Perkins for real.
Now, yeah, so sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Now go ahead, gangster.
Oh, okay. What comes with that now is obviously Draymond Green is going to have that same energy kept because just because he represents himself in that manner with the new media and the way he antagonizes himself against people of the old media who just spew bullshit. When he comes out and he says Steph Curry wasn't able to create his own shot before Kevin Durant arrived, sure, stand on your word. Don't be afraid to get called out by the internet. You know what I mean? Works both ways.
Oh yeah, and I think, and again, I don't think what everybody said is crazy. It was very crazy when he said that because I'm like, if you believe that, which but if you believe that, part of the reason why that nigga was struggling to create a shot is because they can just leave you open. So I get if you believe that, if you truly believe that. But all right, not only am I about to go because I'm done, but also my phone is about to die. So I'll catch y'all niggas on the timeline, man.
Well, you old, no?
Oh wow.
Peace.
No, I'm asking you a question. You talk about the music industry. My fault.